Imagine, in summer a frog jumps by the water, and in October it seemed to evaporate. The question is simple. Where does it go in winter? Under the ice? Into the ground? Dies and is reborn in the spring? I'll put it on the shelves now. No myths, just what's really going on. It's an important thing right away. Frogs are cold-blooded. Their body temperature is almost like the ambient temperature. That's why they don't have warm up and run in winter. They have a different mode. This is called brumation, which is essentially an amphibious version of hibernation. The metabolism is falling, minimum movement. There is zero food, and the main task is not to freeze or suffocate. Where exactly do they go? Option number 1, under the water and to the bottom. This is the most common scenario for aquatic frogs. They go into a pond, a lake, a quiet backwater. They sink closer to the bottom. Sometimes they burrow into the mud or hide among the plant debris. The trick is that the reservoir does not freeze all the way to the bottom. Under the ice, the water stays at about +4 degrees Celsius in depth, and the frog freezes there. And yes, it may not come up for months, because it can absorb oxygen through the skin directly from the water. But there is a risk. If the pond is small, silted up, and there is little oxygen, you can die from suffocation under the ice. Option number 2, into the ground, under a snag, into a hole. This is a scenario for more terrestrial species and for those for whom a body of water is not suitable. They get clogged up, under the roots, in rotten stumps, in compost/leaf litter, in rodent burrows, in crevices near the shore. The main idea is to go below the freezing line or find a warm pocket under cover. How do they survive without food and movement at all? Now, the most delicious part will be biology of the Special Forces level. Fact 1, they are really slowing down. The heart beats rarely. Lung breathing is almost shutting down. Minimum movement. This is not a human dream. This is the body's economy mode. Fact 2, they breathe through their skin underwater. The frog's skin is thin and moist. Gases pass through it. Therefore, in cold water, where there is usually more oxygen, it can live without surfacing. But there must be oxygen. If the reservoir suffocates in winter, frogs feel bad. Fact 3, they choose places without currents and without surprises. The current is dangerous. It can move, pull out into shallow water where it freezes, or drive them into an area where there is no oxygen. Various facts and myths. Myth: frogs freeze to death in winter. Most of them don't. Most are saved by the depth of the water or by hiding in the ground. But there are species that can survive partial freezing. This is already the level of almost fantastic but true. Wow fact: some frogs can freeze and come to life. For example, the North American wood frog is able to tolerate the freezing of a significant part of the water in the body. It accumulates substances like glucose and urea, which act as an anti-freeze and protect cells. Important: this is not about all frogs on the planet, and especially not about every frog in your country. But as a fact of nature, it's an honest wow. Fact: they burrow into the mud but not like fish. The frog can hide in the mud/detritus, but it still needs access to oxygen through its skin. Therefore, digging in and that's it is not always safe. Fact: different species overwinter in different ways. Some are more aquatic. They often overwinter in the water. Others are more terrestrial. They go to shelters on land. The common frog is described as wintering both in pond mud and under piles of wood/shelters. Fact: sometimes they can wake up in winter. If there is a prolonged thaw, the frog may activate slightly, but this is a risk. Then it will freeze again, and you urgently need to return to a safe place. A mini benefit for the viewer: if you have a pond in your yard/cottage and you want frogs to really survive, don't make a sterile pond. A little vegetation and natural shelters helps to hide. The most dangerous scenario is a small pond without oxygen. Then there may be starvation in winter, both fish and amphibians. Don't try to break the ice with a sledgehammer. Sharp blows can harm the inhabitants of the reservoir. If you need to make a window, it is done very carefully and without shock loads. This item is just a warning, not an instruction. Conclusion. So where do frogs go in winter? They don't disappear anywhere. They just go into survival mode. Some go underwater and live at a minimum, breathing through their skin. Some hide in the ground in shelters. And some species in the world generally know how to freeze and come back. In the spring, you see a return, although in fact it was a power off for several months. If it was useful, subscribe and write in the comments. Do you have frogs more often, in a pond or on land? And if you want, I can make the next video in the myth analysis format. Why frogs don't turn into ice cubes every winter, and who really knows how to do it?